License suspension for 11 social workers. The observatory will issue the #1 warning signal as storm approaches city. And President Xi Jinping speaks at the BRICS Plus meeting in Russia. Hello and welcome to TVB News. The licenses of 11 social workers have been temporarily suspended after some were found guilty of offenses related to the 2019 social unrest. These suspensions were announced in newspaper notices posted by the Social Workers Registration Board on Wednesday. Mimo Singhai reports.
According to the notices posted in newspapers, the offences committed by the 11 social workers may tarnish the sector's professional reputation. Among them, 6 were convicted of unlawful assembly, with their licenses being suspended between 6 months and 3 years. The rest were found guilty of other offences, such as contempt of court, theft, and careless driving. They received license suspensions ranging from 3 months to 1 year. In response to the incident, Secretary for Labour and Welfare Chris Soon said the Labour and Welfare Bureau respects the decisions of the Social Workers Registration Board. Herman Ho, who chairs the board, said they have almost completed reviewing the files of social workers who have committed crimes. Ho said he hopes to reinforce personal conduct and behavioral protocols for social workers. Social work sector lawmaker Dick Ziyun, however, questioned the review process. He said if the decisions were made because someone took part in social unrest and was considered to have had a political role, then it will have the effect of political censorship. His view was rejected by Ho, who said the board did not target certain cases. News 9, TVB News.
The observatory will issue the standby signal #1 between 10 p.m. and 4 a.m. Friday morning. Tropical cyclone Trami is expected to enter within 800 kilometers of Hong Kong within that period. The observatory said Trami is expected to move towards the vicinity of Hainan Island, while a northeast monsoon will affect southern China. With the dual effect of Trami and the monsoon, residents should expect windy and rainy weather on Friday and over the weekend. Weather authorities said they may issue the strong wind signal #3 in the next 2 days, depending on the movement of Trami and local wind conditions. The Ombudsman has criticized 2 government departments for failing to cooperate with each other in enforcing regulations related to the unauthorized use of land and space. The departments involved are the Planning Department and the Lands Department. The Ombudsman came up with 16 recommendations to improve interdepartmental collaboration.
From 2018 to 2023, the Planning Department identified an annual average of 425 unauthorized development cases involving private land. A total of 475 prosecutions were launched, of which 65 involved repeat violations. The Office of the Ombudsman conducted an investigation on the enforcement work done by both the Planning Department and the Lands Department against unauthorized developments. The office found that the Lands Department's existing guidelines were unclear in determining how a case falls within the priority category. The department has been advised to step up training to ensure staff take timely action against unlawful land occupation. The Planning Department issues statutory notices to offenders involved in illegal development. The compliance period for dealing with such offences has been shortened to a minimum of 1 month for offenders who repeat violations within 1 year. The office thinks it could be further shortened, because 1 month may not be sufficient to deter repeat offenders. In addition, the office emphasized the responsibilities and need for joint collaboration between the 2 departments.
If unclear division of responsibilities involves systemic issues, we will firmly urge the departments and organizations concerned to rationalize their responsibility seriously, or if necessary, establish high-level platforms for resolving disputes.
The Ombudsman suggests the Planning Department and the Lands Department should jointly set up a database for unauthorized development cases, including information of offenders, locations, and follow-up actions, in order to improve interdepartmental collaboration. Samantha Lee, TVB News.
Hong Kong welcomed the arrival of 2 cruise ships today. Many tourists said they want to explore more of the city. Mimo Singhai reports.
At around 7 a.m. today, Silver Nova arrived at Ocean Terminal in Tsim Sha Tsui. The Hong Kong Tourism Board prepared a dragon dance to welcome the cruise passengers. The tourists also received steam buns, a Hong Kong gourmet speciality, after disembarking the ship. While Silver Nova can accommodate 728 people, there are roughly 500 passengers on board this time, traveling from South Korea. This German tourist wished they could spend more time in Hong Kong.
Hong Kong is just one of these cities that you have to have seen once in your life, at least. And I think 2 days is not enough. I think we should at least spend 2 weeks here, but the ship is leaving tomorrow.
Some passengers said they are excited about local food and sightseeing.
Well, we're going to go to the Man Ho Temple today, and we're going to go up to the tram up to Victoria Peak, and then we're going to do some shopping, and looking forward to some dim sum.
We've hired a private guide. We've told him the places we'd like to see, of course, and he's going to show us some places that we probably should see and didn't know about. So it's going to be a lovely day.
Another cruise, Costa Serena, berthed at Kai Tak Cruise Terminal this morning. This vessel can accommodate almost 4,000 passengers. Most came from the mainland. Mims 9, TVB News.
Ocean Park is teaming up with the Shun Tak Group and other parties to develop an adventure zone. That includes attractions such as bungee jumping and a climbing wall. The themed section will be set at the hill sea-facing side with an area of 120,000 square meters. There will be an array of facilities, including a 30-meter twin bungee jump, twin giant swings, an outdoor playground, a water adventure play area, climbing walls, as well as 2 1,000-meter giant zip lines. The area is expected to be open to the public in 2028. Visitors will have to pay separately for the new attractions. BRICS leaders have adopted a joint declaration to enhance multilateralism during the 16th BRICS summit in the Russian city of Kazan. When addressing the BRICS Plus leaders dialogue, President Xi Jinping called for strengthening global security governance and urged countries to act as stabilizing forces for peace. Danny Zhou reports.
President Xi Jinping arrived at the meeting venue this morning to attend the BRICS Plus leaders dialogue on the final day of this year's summit. The event gathered leaders from nearly 40 countries of the global south. The Chinese leaders said BRICS Plus countries should act as a central pillar of strength for common development and explore fundamental resolutions for global hotspots. Xi called for a comprehensive ceasefire in Gaza, which he says will pave the way for a political settlement and early restoration of peace. He said countries should bolster cooperation in various fields of politics and culture, which echoed with the 5 proposals that he put forth in his speech yesterday. This includes building a BRICS committed to peace, innovation, green development, justice, and closer people-to-people exchanges. In his meeting with Iranian President Masoud Pezeshkian, Xi congratulated Iran on its first participation in the summit as full member. He said China stands ready to develop friendly cooperation within the BRICS framework, and that China backs Iran in safeguarding its sovereignty, security, and national dignity. Pezeshkian affirmed his support on opposing hegemonic bullying. President Xi also met with Egyptian President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi and talked about the need to consolidate pragmatic cooperation and political mutual trust. Xi said China is willing to work with Egypt to enhance coordination for greater influence and voice of the global south. Xi earlier met with Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Both commended China and India's recent agreement on resuming regular patrolling along the contested Himalayan border. They agreed to find a fair and reasonable settlement on the border issue. Xi said the 2 neighbors ought to perceive each other as providing development opportunities rather than as a threat. The 2 leaders vowed to deepen communication and cooperation and handle their relationship from a strategic height and long-term perspective. Danny Zhou, TVB News.
Still ahead, And TVB News reports on cultural tourism in Mount Tai in Shandong. Welcome back. South Korea's intelligence agency says North Korea has sent another 1,500 troops to Russia. U.S. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin said more details are being sought during a visit to the Vatican. Nazvi Karim has more.
U.S. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin in the Vatican for a meeting with Pope Francis. They exchange gifts.
The attack on 9/11, Pentagon, it's actually an actual piece of the building.
And talk about global issues. The Pope is concerned about events in Ukraine. Reports suggest that North Korea has sent another 1,500 troops to Russia, bringing the total to 3,000 according to South Korean intelligence.
These are things that we need to sort out. We'll have more for you on that later. But yeah, as we continue to look at this, there is evidence that there are DPRK troops, in Russia. If there are co-belligerents, their intention is to participate in this war on Russia's behalf. That is a very, very serious issue, and it will have impacts not only in Europe, it will also impact things in the Indo-Pacific as well.
South Korean lawmaker Lee Seung-kwon said on Wednesday after a meeting with the country's intelligence chief that Russia is hiring a large number of Korean translators. The North Koreans are learning about basic military equipment and special warfare such as drone operations, he said. Seoul has learned that Russian instructors deemed the soldiers healthy, but their lack of understanding of modern warfare may result in heavy casualties should they be sent to the front lines. Russia had previously denied hosting North Korean soldiers. The United States says if North Korean troops are sent to the battlefield, Ukraine has all the right to target them.
I can tell you one thing, though. If they do deploy to fight against Ukraine, they're fair game. They're fair targets. And the Ukrainian military will defend themselves against North Korean soldiers the same way they're defending themselves against Russian soldiers.
Nazvi Karim, TVB News.
The U.S. presidential election is less than 2 weeks away. While most voters are concerned about domestic issues, the anti-war topic has come under the spotlight. Danny Joe has the story.
Pro-Palestinian protests swept across American colleges earlier this year. A storm that brewed and spread from Columbia University in New York. The campuses are serene again as the new semester kicks off. But security remains tight. Many universities took action to deploy additional manpower to conduct patrols and exit-entry registration. Out in the streets, voices against the war in Gaza are still ringing clear and loud. Ali, a Lebanese-American engineer, said he often took to the streets over the past few months.
The United States, again, claims to be the leader of the free world, and what it's doing is it's destroying the rules-based order of the world, and it's making the world a more dangerous place.
Ali, who used to be a proponent of the Democratic Party, bashed US President Joe Biden for not stopping the genocide conducted by Israelis. Ali thinks it would not make a big difference if Kamala Harris is elected, yet he is all the more resistant to vote for Donald Trump. So this time, he has decided to support the Green Party nominee.
We've seen the reality. Both of them are consistent supporters of genocide and war crimes. What's happened over the last 11 months has been an awakening.
Neither the Democratic nor Republican parties have put forward specific policies to mediate the tension in the Middle East. Harris may lose votes from the Arab and Muslim communities as well as some youngsters who are irked by her campaign. And all eyes are on the 7 highly competitive swing states, including Michigan, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin, that are likely to decide the election. According to commentator on US politics, Zhang Bingjie, the slice of voters who do not cast their ballot on the election day or vote for a third-party candidate can influence the election result in a state where the race is tied. As Donald Trump acknowledged Jerusalem as the capital of Israel during his presidency, analysts predict a number of Jewish voters may rally support for him in this year's election, while the anti-Israel voters will not vote for him. Danny Zhou, TVB News.
In the third part of our series, Shandong, From Ancient Culture to the Future, TVB News visited 2 UNESCO heritage sites. They include Mount Tai, one of China's most culturally significant mountains, and the family mansion of Confucius, China's most famous philosopher. Jackie Lin also spoke with a descendant of Confucius there.
About 1,545 meters above sea level, in the eyes of the ancient Chinese, the lofty Mount Tai in Taiyang City of Shandong Province was the closest place to heaven. Only by climbing Mount Tai could humans communicate with the immortals. Mount Tai has been seen as the greatest among the 5 great mountains of China. With its summit, Jade Emperor Peak, standing at over 1,500 meters above sea level, it is not the highest among the 5 sacred mountains. But Mount Tai reigns supreme among the 5 sacred mounts with its momentous cultural and historical significance. Emperors, including the first emperor of the Qin dynasty some 2,000 years ago, treated Tai as sacred, which became the ritual sites of imperial worship and sacrifice. Mount Tai is also the first landmark in China listed by UNESCO as a dual World Heritage of Culture and Nature. Authorities have actively promoted local cultural tourism in recent years. In the first half of 2024, the cultural tourism industry in Taiwan rose by 16.5 billion yuan, accounting for nearly 10% of the city's GDP. Shandong native Miss Lee says she feels calm whenever she visits Mount Tai.
When I look at how high the mountain was, and as I look up the number of steps, I thought, oh, can I achieve it? And when I actually achieved it, it's such a great feeling.
Apart from the Taoist temple behind me, Mount Tai is also a place of convergence of Buddhist and Confucius traditions with various relics and temples. In nearby Jining province, the city of Qufu is the hometown of renowned Chinese philosopher Confucius, also home to the world's oldest Confucius temple. With expansion efforts spanning nearly 2,000 years, the Qufu Confucius Temple reached its current scale around the Ming Dynasty. Dacheng Hall, or the Hall of Great Perfection, is the main sanctuary of the temple. At the Confucius Temple, many students from Shandong, Hebei, and Jiangsu will come to this wishing board to put on these wooden wishing cards to pray for a good result in their exam. Adjacent to the Confucius Temple is the Kong family mansion, where the mainline descendants of Confucius resided. The temple, alongside the Confucius Cemetery and the Kong family mansion in Qufu, is listed as a UNESCO World Heritage Site. Kong Xiangsheng, the 75th generation descendant of Confucius, said that Confucian philosophy could offer some wisdom to modern society, which has been roiled by conflicts and wars in recent years. He said with the ongoing chaos and wars, Confucianism, which stresses the importance of seeking harmony amid differences, can lend insight to different cultures and countries. Jackie Lin, TVB News, Shandong.
That's the news. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.